Join us at the Pahrump Nugget Hotel and Casino with the #1 gaming experience and entertainment. The Pahrump Nugget has the #1 dining experience at Stockman Steakhouse, Golden Harvest Cafe, and the Gold Miners Buffet. Come get your game on at the Pahrump Nugget Hotel and Casino.
News 46 is brought to you by Comfort Hospice Care, where we give our patients and their loved ones peace of mind, knowing we provide the highest quality of care 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For more information, call 751-0349. News is also brought to you by Inspiration Senior Living, where we provide affordable elegance to Pahrump area seniors. Give us a call at 751-2300 and make an appointment to tour our community.
Tonight on News 46, a man flees in his vehicle after striking a construction worker on Game Bird. Thousands of law enforcement officers participate in the Baker to Vegas relay, and an investigation is underway concerning a suspicious fire. News 46 starts now.
You're watching KPVM News 46 with Monique Mitchell. Local coverage from Deanna O'Donnell. News 46, local coverage you can count on.
Good evening. It's Monday, March 24, 2014. I'm Monique Mitchell for News 46. Well, one man was seriously injured when he was struck Saturday afternoon on Gamebird Street while working with a construction crew.
Tonight's accident report is brought to you by Stovall & Associates. Don't expect insurance companies to have your best interest in mind. Stovall & Associates cares. Let us help you if you have been involved in an accident.
Saturday, we were dispatched for a report of a pedestrian motor vehicle accident in the area of Gamebird and Highway 160. When we arrived in the area, we didn't find anything in evidence. We then found out it was actually further west on Gamebird in an area where they were doing road construction. Upon arrival, we found one of the workers who had been working at a particular site was in fact struck by a pickup truck, is the report that we received. Sustained injuries. We transported locally, and I know the Sheriff's Office as well as NHP were investigating the cause of that accident.
Yeah, there was reports that the driver might have been intoxicated and they were attempting to locate a certain vehicle, but that the driver had just fled on scene and possibly had some kind of confrontation with other people.
That's my understanding, but I have no direct knowledge of that. Our primary consideration was patient care at that point and making sure the scene was safe.
As far as some advice for people around these construction zones?
You know, it's one of those things, even when we're operating out on scenes, we're out on the highways, you know, quite a bit. Just take your time. Don't, concentrate on what you're doing and where you're going. It's one of the biggest considerations we have. We try to position our vehicle so that it fends us. In other words, it'll push traffic away from our operation. But, so many times, people just want to see what's going on, and they become, precarious as far as how close they get to us and our apparatus when we're operating. Please be careful, be aware with.
Police were searching the area for a black pickup truck that was registered to a Las Vegas address. If you have any information concerning this accident, please contact the Nye County Sheriff's Office at 751-7000. And Fire Chief Scott Lewis gives an update on a structure fire that occurred on David Street on Thursday.
Late Thursday afternoon, we were dispatched a report of a structure fire. In the initial stages, it was unknown exactly where the fire was. There was multiple callers. They saw from their viewpoints. So it was in the area of North David and Shady. Fire ended up being on a structure on North David. It was a detached two-car garage with an additional storage building and also a wood shop.
And this fire started how?
The fire was actually accidental in nature. However, it was from an unattended controlled burn that had been conducted earlier in the day. And unfortunately, the owner left it. It was still, warm. It grew in intensity, and a neighbor actually observed it extending from that pile along some loose material and directly to the attached garage.
Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue arrived on scene. It was pretty involved by the point that they noticed it?
It was interesting conditions because, ordinarily we get to a fire, we observe the smoke conditions in the fire. We had very dark, almost pressurized smoke presenting from the structure, and obviously fire showing from the area of the roof on the gable vents. But our investigation at the end revealed that, in fact, they had an overabundance of property stored within the building, most of it in plastic containers. So those containers, the more and more they became involved, it was compartmentized to a certain degree, adding to the pressure and to the intensity of the fire. Immediate concerns were a propane tank, several other additional structure exposures, including the primary dwelling and also a well house, and also the personal van that was parked in the driveway immediately in front of the garage. The Sheriff's Office assisted us removing that vehicle, so there was no extension to those exposures, but there's significant damage to the inside back wall of that fire.
And no other vehicles inside the garage?
No other vehicles.
So no extensions to the main residence, though, either?
Correct. It was still completely could be occupied. There was no extension to it whatsoever.
What's some advice that you have for people out there with these controlled burns?
It comes back to the basics. That's it intended under the ordinance is to make sure it's unattended, make sure it's cool if you're going to leave the area, make sure it's completely extinguished. If that had happened the day before when those winds kicked up, I couldn't tell you that the exposure structures wouldn't have been involved upon our arrival.
And then there was a report that it rekindled the next morning, but what happened actually?
It actually wasn't a rekindle of the structure fire at all. It was actually, there was still some smoke smoldering from the large pile that had been burned the day before. It was just a matter of the crews going in and applying some additional water to that area.
For more information on how to conduct these controlled burns to get your permits, call the fire department.
Absolutely. Contact their station, number one, and talk to either Jennifer or to the on-duty lieutenant, and it'll give you any direction you might need.
A trailer fire occurred off of Murphy and Tim on the north side of town Friday afternoon.
Initial dispatch was a flatbed trailer of some sort with personal property stored upon it. Upon our arrival, we found that trailer, but it also had extended to a nearby well house that also had materials surrounding it that were in storage and used for recharging batteries and such. Very strange fire, very quick burning, no witnesses to it. There was no power to that particular building at the time of the fire. It's under investigation right now, but it appears to be accidental in nature, but we're just not certain as to exactly what the ignition point was.
And there was a complete loss, right, of the trailer and the well house?
The well house, the front wall, it was absent of a roof, but there was four sides, and the front side facing that trailer sustained damage, as well as did the contents of the well house.
Was it reported well after it was involved?
Well, it appears that there was a number of explosions that preceded the actual observance of fire, and that's still under investigation, that portion, whether the fire was already underway when the explosions were occurring. There was a number of aerosol cans, pressurized vessels, the tires on the trailer, just a number of materials that would mimic those type of explosions.
And after the break, Marty Saltz discussed organ transplants.
The tough decisions about organ transplants. Next in Prescription Health.